I'm Laura, and I'm doing a short presentation on Vietnamese food. Vietnam is a tropical country along the Indonesian peninsula of Southeast Asia. The population is 89 million, 3.5 times the population of Australia, which is pretty astonishing when you look at the size comparison of the two countries. Throughout Vietnam, there's 54 ethnic groups, the largest of which is the Viet people, which make up 87% of the country's population. They live in the delta regions and the major cities. The other 53 ethnic groups are much smaller, totaling around 8 million, and they live in the mountain regions. Here's a timeline of introduced foods and cooking styles. I'll just pick out a few of the major ones. China introduced stir-fry and deep frying. Mongolians brought beef to Vietnam. And 16th century explorers and traders introduced tomatoes, snow peas, and potatoes. Rice and soy sauce are the main basis of many meals. They use plenty of vegetables, and supplementary foods include sugar, mint, basil, serrano peppers, lime, and fish sauce. The main meats consumed are fish, beef, chicken, and seafood. The seasons affect the availability of certain food types, so cooking styles change throughout the year. Steaming, grilling, and boiling are common cooking methods. There's 3 distinct regional variations of Vietnamese cooking. The North foods are influenced by China and reflect the cold climate, whereas the South foods are similar to Thai and Khmer styles of cooking, which reflect the hotter climate. The Central Highlands tend to be a mix of these two styles. Vietnam has the Buddhist religion. They even have their own vegetarian cooking style called An Chay. Special occasions include the first and middle days of every lunar month. It's tradition for the Vietnamese people not to eat seafood, meat, chicken, or eggs. Instead, they prepare vegetarian dishes. And the largest holiday of the year is the Lunar New Year, which falls sometime in January and February each year. Families feast and eat rare delicacies, including abalone soup and shark fin soup. Unusual aspects of culinary culture are weasel dung coffee, snake, scorpion rice wine, and duck embryo. Vietnam has a long history of wet rice cultivation. They also produce oil, cashew nuts, black pepper, and they're the second largest exporter of rice after Thailand. Other primary agricultural exports include coffee, tea, rubber, and fishery products. Here's the apparent key consumption of Australian versus Vietnam. As you can see, Australians consume much more meat, and Vietnamese people eat more cereals. Immigration from Vietnam to Australia began in 1976 when the war broke out. Today, there's over 68,000 Vietnamese-born Australians. Australia's exposure to Vietnamese food is majorly due to the Vietnamese immigrants setting up restaurants. And Vietnamese food is very popular due to it being vegetarian. Since the late 1970s, Vietnamese food has steadily become more prevalent in Australian culture. Television shows such as MasterChef and the SBS show Luke Nugent's Vietnam feature the culture and foods of Vietnam. There's also a major restaurant chain called Rolled featuring Vietnamese street food. Thanks for listening to my presentation, and these are my references.